Valhalla is a game that saved my life. It helped me escape my own misery and nurtured me to believe in myself, regardless of where I was financially, physically, and emotionally. I'm making this video because I hope it can help you on your journey to better your mental health. There are 5 crucial lessons that I'd like to share with you to help not only understand yourself, but to provide you with the fundamentals of support that will give you the strength to carry yourself forward. If you're ever feeling lost, going through a breakup, or hating yourself for whatever reason, I've been there too. Valhalla is a game that fully encapsulates the hard times in life, whether it be trying to make ends meet to avoid eviction, going through a tough breakup, or abandoning your friends and family to fulfill your goals. Let me tell you that first and foremost, that's what being human is, enduring the struggles that life throws at you. During my hardest times after college, I decided to give Valhalla a shot, and before I knew it, I ate, slept, and breathed it every day. It was my Bible, my sanctuary. You'll share a laugh because of how ridiculous the world of Valhalla can be, and end up emotionally swept, crying tears of sadness by the end. That world gave me friends to help escape loneliness in one of the hardest times of my life. Every memorable moment in the game felt like the happiest times ever, and the music was very comforting. Even though it's a cyberpunk fantasy game, it's very relatable. It tells a story of a bartender trying to control her life, only to end up losing control. You experience other people's problems only to have them console you due to their unfortunate circumstances. Like any good friend, your job is to feed them with cold hard facts and liquor. A friend once told me, "Drink because you're happy, but never because you're miserable." This isn't going to be a review of Valhalla, but a journey. Valhalla is a vehicle to help process yourself into becoming a happier person. And personally, I don't think happier is the right word here. I think stronger is more accurate. This video contains major spoilers and plot points of Valhalla if you're interested in playing. The first life lesson I taught myself was a difficult one. Throughout the game, Jill constantly kicks herself for her life choices. Abandoning family and the comfort of your old home in order to fulfill your dreams isn't exactly an easy thing to do. She constantly berates herself by calling herself a piece of crap, as people do. After college, I hit a critical point in my life, a breaking point. I was in a new house with no electricity, internet, or friends, and I was in debt. This was all after a breakup as well, so you know that was tough to get through. I didn't have anyone to talk to or express my feelings with. I felt like I was carrying 10,000 pounds on my back every day. It was difficult to get out of bed, to be productive, and to carry on with simple tasks. Quite frankly, I didn't feel like existing anymore. It felt easier that way. But regardless of struggling, I ended up learning one of the most valuable skills anyone could ever give themselves. Learning to love yourself. It can take the form of many things we take for granted. Eating your favorite meal, purchasing gifts that you want, watching a movie alone, or subscribing to my channel. Like any house, it needs groundwork, good builders, and an architect. You are your own architect from the way you think, to the way you look, and your flaws. You need to be able to rebuild yourself to get through anything that breaks you. And the strongest people I know rebuild themselves faster and better. Become the house you want to live in. People like Isaac Newton, Abraham Lincoln, and even Bill Gates faced failure. But that didn't stop them from achieving great success. Let's be real here. No one is going to give you the answer you need to achieve this secret nirvana. Socrates once said, "Falling down is not a failure. Failure comes when you stay where you have fallen." You have to understand that you're going to struggle, and you will fail miserably time and time again, but you will find success, even if it's small. The book Atomic Habits focuses on this, and small successes every day build into greater successes in the long run. Just understand if you're like me or Jill and you think, "That's it for me, life's over." Well, it's probably a bad start to a really good ending, like any good story. The second life lesson I learned was to find a friend. Now if you're thinking, but I don't have any friends, anything will do. I remember I read the Witcher books, met a dog, and played games that you had to interact with people, and it was a time in my life where I felt so alone. None of my friends from college or high school reached out to me, and I had little to no service for reaching out to online friends. But the times I did socialize were scarce, yet critical. Having nobody to talk to feels like an empty desert with no water. In the end, I had to come face to face with the realization that the only one who could support me was myself. I remember reading the Witcher books profusely and enjoyed the moments Geralt spent in Kaer Morhen. Geralt, Lambert, and Eskel were good friends and they supported one another. The times he met Triss and Yennefer while protecting Ciri made me happy. Despite being rough around the edges, they all shared a common warmth you'd only find between a group of longtime friends. A camaraderie that's difficult to find these days. The same could be said of Jill's relationship with Gillian and Dana. If you're struggling with a breakup, dealing with depression, or feeling absolutely alone, then I think this game can help you escape from that, if only for a little while. It's an endearing, emotional journey that allows you to socialize with imaginary friends as you sift through many patrons and their delicate stories. Valhalla is a great way of allowing you to socialize with people that feel like actual people. In a time of loneliness, it helped pick myself up because I knew I needed to grow. The third life lesson is to stop looking backwards. Don't fall into the trap of lingering on the past. You have to stop and smell the roses. Understand that what's done is done, and now you have what you need to move on. If you dwell in the past for too long, you'll forget what waiting for tomorrow is like. In Valhalla, Jill is confronted by Gabby, Lenore's younger sister, and is reminded of the past she wanted to move away from, and can't help take her mind off the confrontation. Lenore was Jill's ex-girlfriend. Knowing that Lenore is dead, Gabby upsets Jill by blaming her for this. At some point in our lives, the past always comes back to haunt you, even if you tried your best to live a good life and better yourself. But that doesn't mean you should let it rob you of what you have now. Jill begins to break down at times during her bartending job and is blinded by her mistakes in the past. If she hadn't left Lenore to pursue her dreams, then maybe, just maybe, Lenore would be alive. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. For a couple of years after college, I struggled and tripped on myself every day, letting my past weigh me down. But eventually, I freed myself from the past and finally started looking forward. I taught myself that letting go is a remedy for the soul. The fourth lesson is to take responsibility for everything. Don't take things for granted. In pursuit of happiness, I learned that I needed to clean myself up. I'm not talking about shaving, taking more showers, or wearing nice clothes. I learned to pick up the broken pieces of myself and fix routine things that seem too mundane and simple. If I'm having a bad day, I always make sure to make my bed. If I make a mistake at work, I do everything I can to set things right. And if I upset someone, I always try to make it up to them, or at the very least make them happy. The point is, when you accept failure, you need to stop making excuses and avoiding problems. Be honest with yourself and become a better person. I remember when I cheated on a project because I was lazy. I turned it in to my professor and he figured out I copied someone else's work. He didn't say much, he only asked, "Did you copy this, John?" And part of me instantly felt fear. Fear and regret. But I knew I had to take responsibility. "Yes," I said. "I copied someone else's work. I'm sorry." He took a moment that felt like an eternity in his office, and then he turned to me and smiled. "If you lied to me, I would have failed you for my class, but since you didn't, I'm gonna give you a C. Just don't do it again because you're only cheating yourself, John." I was surprised, shocked at my professor's response. I felt relieved. "Thank you. I'll do my best next time," I said reluctantly. Knowing that I had a second chance at life it gave me hope. Because of that moment, I never wanted to cheat again. Even if I was set for failure, I would take it in stride. If you're going to learn anything from me, it's that being the world's biggest failure is better than being the world's worst winner. Every time I failed from then on, I smiled. If people hate my videos, I always strive to make something better the next time. In Valhalla, Jill takes responsibility for her actions after leaving Lenore and her family behind. She wanted to live her life freely, be her own person, and spread her wings after being suffocated by her obligations to the people she knew. Jill ultimately overcomes her past and stops blaming herself for Lenore's death. She grows enough courage thanks to her friends, and this leads to her final confrontation with Gabby again. The final lesson, and the main takeaway from this video, is to embrace life wholeheartedly. At the end of Valhalla, Jill decides to finally talk to Gabby about moving on before the new year. Gabby reluctantly agrees, and she shows much needed growth and maturity, even though we only see her twice. In this moment, where Jill and Gabby celebrate the new year together, it dictates the bright future ahead of them, instead of dwelling in their dark past. This game allowed me to finally move on from my ex, especially in a time where I felt alone. It took me a year, but I finally got over it. I made plenty of friends along the way and picked myself up from a bad place. After being stricken with debt, loneliness, and severe depression, I overcame those obstacles one by one because I believed in myself. You are your own biggest fan, and you should take that to heart. Life's hard. There's no instruction manual, and when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Regardless of all the curveballs life throws at you, you're still here. You're still alive. I've learned time and time again that things always get better. You just have to reach out for it. At the end of the day, even if no one understands you, know that you are your greatest friend, and sometimes only you can catch yourself when you fall. After this video ends, I want you to keep your head held high. Small victories every day rack up into a big one down the road. I also want you to take care of yourself, okay? Treat yourself well some days and you'll be grateful. You owe it to yourself. Now, I want to know what your dream game is. What do you play that helps you escape? There are millions of worlds out there, and I'm sure you have one happy place you call home. I'm curious to know what game helped you go through a hard time. I know you'll take these 5 lessons to heart no matter where you are in life. Just understand, I'm always here for you, trying to cheer up someone out there. I like to imagine hardly anyone is watching but you, my friend. If you stayed till the end, you're special, kid. There's just one last thing. I hope you know how to make a good drink.